been half a year since working from home became more of a way of life instead of a luxury. And that's been bad news for downtown businesses. Now the clock is ticking. On the front page centerpiece this week, time is running out to avoid permanent damage. Offices are virtually empty, and walking downtown feels like it did in the 90s, eerily quiet. And places that bank on that foot traffic can't hold on for much longer. Courier reporter Tom Demoropoulos asked the largest employers in the Central Business District when workers may return. He shares those answers with editor Rob Dahlmeyer.
Thank you very much. Tom, thanks so much for being here.
Happy to be here, Rob.
So great cover story this week. I really recommend it to everybody out there. But let's start at the beginning. What is the reality right now downtown?
The reality right now, Rob, in downtown is that it's just a fraction of the people who are typically there every day. Normally, downtown has about 70,000 employees, coming down there, parking, getting coffee, picking up lunch. And right now, our best information is overall about 15% occupancy in buildings downtown. So you've got about 60,000 people that are not coming downtown every day to go to work. And that's a real hurt on the downtown economy. And talking with some of our large employers, it's even fewer. You look at Courier, which normally has about 4,000 people downtown. They've got about 150 coming to the office every day. Great American, which normally has about 3,000 employees, they've only got about 150. So it's really, there are far fewer people down there than is normal.
So who's being impacted the most with this? It's not, Procter & Gamble's got its own business to run. Kroger's got its own business to run. They're keeping people home in such a way where, they're trying to make it work for their bottom line. But so they're really not the ones being most impacted. When we talk about downtown, who is being impacted the most?
Yeah, it's all the businesses that really make our downtown really fun and vibrant and a thriving place to be. It's the restaurants, it's the bars, it's the service retailers, it's the clothing shops, it's the hair salons and the barber shops. All those different things that you come to think about in a downtown, they're all struggling. It's a lot of pain. And even the hotels are really hurting because, downtown hotels have a lot of business travelers. There's no business people to go meet with at their office, so there's no reason to travel. Even if people were traveling, they wouldn't be going to stay at a downtown hotel because there's no one to go meet at that office.
So it's one thing to talk about this as a temporary thing. And obviously in the story, you've got Steve Leeper from 3CDC basically saying, downtown is on the clock, and everything you just said, the clock is ticking. And the situation of 15% of workers coming downtown right now is not sustainable. So let me ask you this. Do you think that from everybody you've talked to, do you get a feeling that this is a permanent shift? Working from home, is that going to be just the new reality, or do you believe that this is, from the people you've talked to, that this is a temporary thing?
From everyone I've talked to, I think initially the reaction was, how are we going to figure out how to work from home? And then it became, okay, we've figured out how to work from home. This works. Now we're at the point where a lot of companies are saying, okay, we need to get back to the office. Our productivity is down. The level of engagement is down. The ability to create and foster a company culture, to mentor people, all those things that need to happen in face-to-face collaboration are just not happening, and there hasn't been something that replaces that type of interaction. So I do see that when it's safe to return, and when companies determine what's safe for them to return, you'll start to see more people coming back to the office because people work better when they work together.
So let's finish on my last question here then. The 800-pound gorilla here is the question is, this story is going to be controversial in some ways, and that there are certain people who, health is everything, and the economy is just going to have to deal with it, versus people who are looking at this in maybe a more pragmatic way, or a realistic. I hate to use the word realistic, but in a way that admits that there's an economy that can be wrecked. How controversial do you think it is, or from what you've heard? The idea of health versus the economy. Where are we supposed to come down on that?
Yeah, it's really tough, and I think every company has to figure out what their level of risk is. Where do they want to rank in terms of how much value do they place on having their employees work together, right, versus the risk of people getting sick? Because you're not going to stop illness 100%. It's just, even with a vaccine, we wouldn't have 100%. No one would ever get sick. That's not reality. But companies need to figure out, what can we do to make this workspace as safe as possible, and then start the process of bringing people in, and just, do it gradually. Start with a few people, start with 10%, and then gradually build up as you're able to keep the space safe, keep the employees safe. That's what's important as they start this process. But I think it is important to start the process.
Yeah, that's a great point. Well, thank you very much, Tom. This is a great story. It's the big issue that we're facing right now, and downtown is feeling it, frankly, more than any other part of Cincinnati. And downtown is the hub of our economy. So this is a huge question. And it's a huge issue. I don't think it's anything anybody thought we'd ever face, and hopefully we'll never see it again. But it's the reality, and I highly recommend the read. And again, thanks for being here, Tom.
Thanks, Rob.